Hi, welcome to episode 13 of Crucible Bootcamp. I'm your host, Koala, and today we're going to be covering a Rumble match on Bannerfall. And this is sent to me by a fellow who's playing a Sunbreaker Titan. He's got an auto rifle and a sniper rifle, which is a pretty good loadout for Bannerfall, in my opinion. Without any further ado, let's get into it. So off the bat, we see that we've spawned into B. This is a good place to spawn on Rumble because it gives you options as far as which zone you want to control as you move around the map. And also people are likely going to move into you if you're on B, so you don't necessarily need to move much. Just stay out of the sniper lane from Mohawk onto back B. He chooses to go back onto the right side of the map. Doesn't really see anyone. So when you play Rumble, the most important thing you need to keep in mind is that if you're going to win the game, you need to get in engagements as quickly as possible and win those engagements as quickly as possible. So it's all about speed. You see someone up here in the top of hangar, so he's going to push him. You heard that he had a shotgun, so this push all the way into him is a little silly. It's a little easier if you pull around to the right side around stairs. That way you keep that distance from that shotgunner. It's a little bit more space for them to cover, instead of just walking forward and getting double bodied. But that's okay. So now we're in back Mohawk. As a sniper on Bannerfall, this is probably going to be one of your best positions to be in as a sniper because pretty much all the sight lines are long. The problem with being in Mohawk, though, is that because the sight lines are long and there isn't a large amount of cover, you're going to be subjected to a lot of crossfire. So you have to keep that in mind. You basically need to have your head on a swivel if you're going to try to control the traffic through Mohawk. So we see someone basically, you can see on his radar, there's people on either side. He gets a good challenge on him. But the issue with Mohawk is you can get these kills, but then you're pulling back outside of cover. There isn't great cover around here aside from the boxes that are by the special areas. So really you want to pull back to those areas. Either the boxes toward the entrance to New Monarchy and hangar or the boxes toward the back of the lobby. So he's doing a good job keeping that head on a swivel, moving around, checking for people. But again, he's pulling back out of cover. Luckily, people just aren't really paying attention. He gets a nice double here. You want to hug the Mohawk after these kind of kills. That's what I mean by moving back into cover. Because then, basically, the only locations that you can get hit are behind or in front of you. You can basically put your back to the Mohawk and deal with anyone coming around corners. Whereas if you're out in the open, you could potentially get picked off by someone that's up here on the balcony. You could get picked off by someone that's actually in... like rounding corners toward the mid lane. So he sets a nice spree now. He's got his super up. This is the moment in Rumble that as soon as you get your super up, you should be pushing to use it immediately. You don't need to cover zones anymore. Just go. That's your best opportunity to get a lot of kills, especially if you're a Sunbreaker. Oh, the timer's still on my screen. There we go. So again, he's just getting crossfired because he doesn't have great cover. But like I said before, the traffic all goes through that lane. You've seen he hasn't really pulled out a sniper yet, so he's not getting a ton of use out of actually controlling that zone, other than people are just kind of walking into him. It was good backpedal. And here's an issue that arises quite often is that he's in his scope for just way too long. You gotta scope out, especially if you don't see anyone, to seek for targets because you can utilize your radar. If you stay scoped in and you're searching for targets, you're basically wearing a blindfold. You have no idea where your target could potentially be, and it slows your ADS. It slows your reticle speed. So you want to stay scoped out to acquire a target first. So he trades with the other hammer, which is good. That means that other hammer is only going to get 1 kill with that super, whereas he already got 2. So he's already netted 1 positive against one of the supers, which is good. If he had shoulder charge or sun charge, he probably would have killed him. But a lot of people are more comfortable with having more hammers than sun charge, which is fine. He pulls back into cover, which is nice, but there's someone behind him. But that's the kind of little movement that you want to make. You want to, if you're going to lose a gunfight like he was, just pull back into cover. And he gets caught sprinting out off spawn. And this is going to happen a lot in Rumble. It's not a big deal. You just need to kind of try to be prepared to defend yourself off spawn. So this is a good opportunity to discuss good sniper lanes if you are going to go into Mohawk. This box here, there's a little lip on the left side of it. You can jump on that and create a little, it's about, I would call it a half head glitch. It's not quite just your head, it's a little bit more of your body, but it's better than being completely exposed. And it's also a location where most people aren't used to sniping there. They're mostly used to people on the ground. So it's a good opportunity to create situations where you're going to get first shot off. The most common areas people are used to sniping at head level are this lip around the back of Mohawk, and then by either boxes. But if you're on top of boxes, it's a little different. So he pulls out his sniper, misses a shot, that's fine. Gets a nice shot on the guy that was challenging him, and then just gets crossfired. If he had taken that shot from on top boxes, then it would have been this guy that just killed him wouldn't have had an opportunity for him to get shots off on him, because he could have dipped back behind the box and reloaded or regened health or whatever, or skated away, whatever he needed to do. You notice that he does have a Twilight Garrison on, and he has a Titan. You definitely need to learn how to skate if you're going to play a Titan. Otherwise, you're better off playing one of the more defensive classes, like a Warlock or a Hunter. The whole point of playing a Titan is speed. If you're not utilizing that speed, then you're actually better off just using a different subclass. So he ends up dying here, but this is a perfect example of when you should use your sniper, as opposed to the dangers of hard scoping. So you're reading your radar and you kind of predict that he's going to come around the corner. So you should be scoped in like he is, ready for them to come around the corner. He kind of waits a little bit too long to pull out his sniper rifle and is trying to primary him. If you're going to keep your primary ADS like that, then you need to commit immediately. You don't want to switch, like in his case, because if he had immediately started firing, he would have won this challenge. Whereas he was already behind, 7 or 8 bullets, so he ends up getting an absolute. Kind of fallen behind. We noticed that he was up by about 500 points, and now the enemy team is catching up. Misses a shot, finishes him off with 1 bullet. Again, that's a really good primer grenade. Pulls him back into cover, and now he can take the other person that's flanking him with the challenge. He doesn't have to worry about the person he just primed. Now he can take the person he just primed. Backpedals the smash, which is good, but he's pulled out of cover. You can see he's already surrounded. Again, this is another example of you don't want to be ADS when you're searching for targets. It's better if you just if you want to keep firing, that's fine, but it's better if you're hip firing than if you're ADS, and then you ADS once you acquire a target. So he kills the guy with the sword, which is good. Didn't try challenging him. This is another opportunity for you to take out your sniper. He's a little late. I don't know why he reloaded there. Probably just to force a habit. I'll only get into the habit of reloading if you absolutely have to, or immediately after a kill, if you're safe. Don't kind of reload when you see someone. All right. Doesn't manage to get any crossfire, which is unfortunate, but now he's behind. Behind by whopping 15 points, but still behind. You see someone up here? Good challenge with sniper. He has a super again. This is another chance that you want to push into people. Pop your super as the guy's in the air. Don't let him push you like that for free. If someone pushes you like that as a shotgunner, sometimes instead of backpedaling, whereas they're already closing the gap, and if you can't acquire a target in air very fast, which some people just can't, that's fine. It's better for you to actually slide underneath them or jump past them. That way they have to whip around 180 degrees. So again, still have your super up. You could have got 2 kills there if you was just popping a super and using it. And I harp on this a lot for a lot of people, but you need to be sliding more around the map. Even if you're not going to skate, then you should be sliding more. That's one of those situations where you should be taking a reaction shot, especially if they're popping their super in front of you with your sniper. You have about half a second to pull out your sniper and, or as you see them, pull out your sniper and scope in. This is a mid-range shot that you should get comfortable making if you're going to try sniping. If you're not going to take that shot, you need to run and not challenge a super like that. Especially a hammer dead on. And he still has a super, so he even could have potentially challenged the super with his super. If he remembered who it was, then he would remember that he would get an overshield, so it would be an unsafe challenge. But if that's in any other hammer, then it's safe to try to duke it out with your super. Better to trade with a super than let him kill you for free and get an extra kill or 2. Pulling back into cover, acquiring the target. He was already primed, so that's a little risky. Unfortunately, he misses 1 headshot on the clip. Again, loses the firefight. But in these situations where you're traversing around the map, you need to continually be sliding. Slide, slide, slide. Hopefully your third slide slides you into cover. Wait for your sprint cooldown to come off, and then do it again. So if he, again, a little thing, but if he ran out of bullets and he's obviously right next to cover, and you saw him dip just briefly back into cover, don't pull out of cover before you're finished reloading. Or if you want to continue to fight, then you need to do one of 2 things, especially if they're absolute like this. You need to slide forward and try to melee, or you need to pull out your secondary, even if it's a sniper, and you need to take a reaction shot. You need to quick scope them. And I know that's something that is going to be difficult for people to line up the shot, but you should already be pre-aimed just by your primary fire, so the quick scope isn't that difficult to make if you're already kind of scoped on them from your primary. Just kind of playing Ring Around the Rosie with this guy. And that was a good opportunity for him to just finish up melee, especially because the guy's pushing you like that. But again, gun skill stuff, not a big deal. That's just stuff you need to work on. That's the kind of mid-range shot that you need to make, like, all the time. I know you didn't pull out your sniper till the very end, but that's how you snipe in Rumble, right there. That was a fantastic shot. Those are the shots that you need to make be more comfortable with in any game mode if you're going to be a successful sniper, because you're going to have to learn how to fire to aim under fire, and you're just going to have to take those shots. So as far as the critique goes for Jontology, really you got to focus on learning how to skate. That's step 1, or just switching subclasses. Titan is pretty hard to learn because of how aggressive you can be with skating, and also just how button intensive it is. He was using an auto rifle and a sniper rifle, so he doesn't have great in-air accuracy, so it's okay to just skate to go to where you want to, and then, stay grounded. As you do move around the map in general, though, you should be sliding more. The blips in and out of radar are going to cause your opponents to pull into your scope. They're going to push around the map not knowing exactly where you are, whereas you're going to have perfect information on them. Keep in mind that when you see someone on radar, that means that they can also see you on radar. And so you're exchanging the information where eventually both of you are going to figure out where the other one is. If you're halfway decent at reading your radar. If you're sliding in and out, you'll see them, but they necessarily won't see you for 2 or 3 seconds because you're going to blip out. And then they're going to move and you're going to be able to adjust to that. That's the advantage of staying crouched or sliding around maps. Make sure when you are crouched, though, that either you can quickly slide into cover or you're crouched right next to cover with a shoulder or your back against a wall or against cover, so you can quickly pull back around to protect yourself. The timing... Bannerfall is an interesting map for Rumble just because of how big it is. So due to the size, it's almost better to try to move towards people as opposed to control a zone like he attempted to. You notice that the enemy team did end up catching up just because spawns on this map tend to be around the perimeter. So if you're controlling the center of the map, you're not really gonna be able to farm people off spawn, which is kind of the idea of Rumble. Someone spawns, you get to them, you kill them. Then you move to the next place where someone's gonna spawn, you get to them, you kill them. And you just want to repeat that over and over again. So here's Bannerfall. On Rumble, in particular, we saw that he was mostly controlling the Mohawk area, which is this area here. Now, the good part about Mohawk, like I said, for sightlines, is you have a lot of good ones. So if you're on the back of Mohawk, you can see into tunnel, either one. You can see up onto balcony. You can see out down the alley. So this is a good, anyone coming underneath balcony as well. And then, of course, if you go on top of Mohawk or on either side, you get lines all the way back here. So you can see that not only is this good to find people, this also kind of exemplifies why I say you need to keep your head on a swivel. Because while you can cover each and every one of these angles at any one given moment, you know, the other 5 players in the match could be approaching you from any of these angles. So you constantly need to be aware of where people are going to be moving to. Like I was talking about here, the boxes here are a little better to cover traffic through the center lane or traffic coming through street and tunnel. Because these sight lines, you basically cut the map in half. If you hop onto the box, you can see up top on balcony. If you hop on top of the box, you can see across here. And then, of course, you can get anyone behind you. So, as you can see, if you're on top of the box, you're always going to be undercover, and the opportunities for them to kill you are very limited. And you can basically rotate back and forth between the 2 boxes and cover essentially the same angles that you would if you're back here on Mohawk. But the advantage of being on top of this box, this little box slip, or behind the boxes, or around the boxes, or all the way on top, whichever flavor you want, the advantage of this is that you can always pull back into cover, and if you are going to be flanked, you're only going to be flanked from one direction, and that's this one. Whereas if you're on Mohawk, the flank is constantly going to be changing based on where people are. So if you're on Mohawk, maybe the flank is over where this red X is. Maybe the flank is over here. Maybe you're aiming this direction and someone's going to flank you this way. It's pretty difficult to properly control this area without dying. Or at least getting body shotted by snipers non-stop. If you are going to play a zone control kind of style, remember that the spawns are going to be all the way around the perimeter here. You're almost never going to spawn in the middle of the map. So knowing this, you can actually rotate around areas of cover or just cover where people spawn. So this is new. The building has a bunch of New Monarchy stuff in it, so we'll call it New Monarchy. And this is the hangar over here. So if you want to control a zone, these 2 zones here are going to be your best options. And that basically allows you to push out onto these bridges to cover spawns all along this back wall. Or spawns here. Or spawns here. If you come out on the balcony, you have shots on people that are outside. And because this map is basically symmetrical, you can do this on either side. Obviously, the only difference is being kind of the layout. Of like the orientation of the boxes, and depending on which head levels you're actually more comfortable with. Because maybe you're comfortable with the head level from perch to perch, but not necessarily from where the head is here compared to where the head is here. So that means you would obviously you would favor one side over the other, which is okay. If you do want a control zone, that's how you want to do it. If you do want to rotate around the map, keep in mind that if you do make a stop in Mohawk in mid lane, you are going to have all those sight lines. So you're going to be able to get one kill and you immediately need to pull back into cover. You can't stay in the same spot for very long. Especially on Rumble, you shouldn't be staying in the same spot for very long. That gives your enemy players perfect information, which I'm always going to preach. You don't want to give the enemy team perfect information. That's why we slide around the map. That's why we use head glitches. That's why we jump up into the air to disorient our opponents. We don't want our opponents to even know where we're coming from or how we're going to move around the map or which angles we're going to take. So that's kind of how the map is going to play out on Rumble. Obviously, the danger zone is going to be mid lane. But on threes and on trials, Bannerfall actually plays out a little bit differently. For the most part on threes, from what I've noticed, the action rotates between being out on Mohawk and being in one of the streets. This is because of the distance from spawn to spawn. So it gets difficult to push a spawn properly without getting completely flanked. And also, it's really easy to get split spawned on this map. So generally speaking, most teams I see control Mohawk and just cut off sight lines into them. A good team on this map, however, in threes, will post up in Mohawk, maybe post up in inside heavy on B. And they'll create a line of scrimmage where you're only allowed to attack this way. And doing that, you basically can secure a split spawn behind you. And as soon as you get a split spawn, that's when you start rotating around the map to cut people off. You give up the center lane in this Mohawk area, but there's so many ways to move after getting split spawns that you can basically run an entire circle around. To deal with the way the spawns work. Once you get this kind of constant split spawn going, you'll notice that most of the kills are in this V, but a lot of kills will take place in these rooms if you know where spawns are going to happen, because a lot of people push into them because there's a lot of cover. You're not necessarily unsafe pushing into them. But for the most part, I don't particularly enjoy threes on this map. It's rather boring. Teams that don't know how to push, the map plays out like this. You all go to Mohawk, or we all go to street. And then we play who has a better sniper shot in the 50-50. All game long. Normally, if I notice a team is going to play like this, either they're all going to be on a Mohawk or all going to be on street. Your best option is to keep two people out here, keep them occupied but not necessarily die, which means don't challenge them but keep on radar, and have your third disruptor flank around. Cubby is a great flank, especially if you have a shotgun, because anyone trying to push back into you, you're going to be undercover the entire time, so it's really easy to close this gap. A back alley through hallway. It's another way because you're going to get to bridge and then have complete line of sight onto people in street. This is a good flank for a sniper. And this also plays into how Trials plays. The absolute 50-50 in Trials is perch to perch. There's this lane here. I forget which side has the advantage, but one side can actually see the head before the other one, or the body. So you get your shot off like, I don't know, a quarter to a half second faster, depending on who's jumping up here, which class, which subclass. This is good if you want to get a free kill, basically, but it's bad for controlling the actual orb because of how easy it is to push someone off the perch. And if you manage to trade and your teammates aren't there, because let's say I go to the 50-50, my teammates decide that they want to go out on a Mohawk. So by the time I get my shot off, they're likely in hangar. Well, it takes them 3 or 4 seconds to even get in here. Another 2 or 3 seconds to get up on top of perch. And by that point, if the enemy team is going to the 50-50, which a lot of bad teams will do, they'll just have the res up for free and be hard scoping my orb. And now we're down 2v3. So this 50-50 here is really, really bad. You never, absolutely never want to go here unless you just want a quick round. And if you do just want the quick round, your teammates need to be aware of that, so they need to be there to support you, either with hard scoping the other orb or just to push you up and push you. Even if you do manage to get a kill for free, it's pretty difficult to have your teammates push all the way over while you cover the orb, either from perch or maybe you move up to door. There's a certain angle when you're underneath door that you can actually shoot up onto the perch. If they're close to that angle, you can actually push as far as door to cover the same orb. But this push into here is pretty difficult because everyone in street is going to be undercover. The better push to cover this orb is actually through New Monarchy onto bridge, but they're going to be too late to actually get to the orb before the person gets res. So it's pretty difficult. You can't really capitalize on this kind of shot, which is why I recommend you never do it, because most 50-50s, you have time to capitalize on the kill. There's time for you to flank around. There's time for you to push up to them and be aggressive. There's no real time or a safe way to cover the orb perch to perch. You're better off just going out to Mohawk and taking the 50-50 from Mohawk onto street. Or even center lane. Either one of these is a better option than perch. If the enemy team does end up going to perch, you basically want to ignore this center lane. You want to ignore B, and you want to either go through cubbies to come up the stairs on the top market and kill the person up here, or you go all the way around through back alley, and you either choose to go through the other back alley or in a New Monarchy on a bridge. If things go really poorly for you and you're about here, just dip back into back room. Same on the other side. That's pretty much all you really need to do to challenge people hanging out on the perch 50-50. Personally, when I play this map, I almost always go through cubby and go up. Because even if no one's here and they all went out on Mohawk, this rotation basically means that my teammates and me are going to attack from multiple angles. So as long as I don't get sniped coming out of this tunnel, and to do that we're either jumping or sliding through, as I normally preach, as long as I don't get immediately domed, I can hide behind cover while my teammates start firing. As soon as they start firing, that's when I push out, try to finish people off, even if I'm weak. And that's a mistake that I see a lot of people make, is when you're weak, they hide when your teammates are pushing. Here's why you don't want to hide. So let's say that I come out and I'm fired on one person. Let's say I have time for one shot and then he's hard scoped on me. So I dip back into cover. And let's say he body shots me and I'm absolute behind this pillar. Okay, he's most likely either going to A, grenade me. So I need to move probably here to not get grenaded. Or he's going to continue to be hard scoped on me. In which case, if I do move here or move at all, I need to slide or jump so I don't get immediately killed. Let's say they're not going to grenade me and they're just going to hard scope me. Well, that means that that's a perfect opportunity for my teammates to have a 2v2 here. As soon as that fighting goes on, it's pretty likely that this third person that's hard scoped on you is going to abandon you and try to support their teammates. That's what a good player would do. Assuming that they're going to be a good player, that's your opportunity, even when absolute, to pop out of cover and to challenge, or to move around for better flank. Either way, or jump up on top of balcony, get a good vantage point, whatever you want to do or feel that will be the best decision to make at the time. What you don't want to do is sit there and wait for your teammates to die. These two trade, and you're still absolute. So by the time you finally get out, you have no angle on the two guys that have died around the corner. Your teammates are dead here. And the enemy team, or the remaining player is around Mohawk. So this means he gets 2 free reses. You have to push all the way around, and by the time you get here, to even get a shot on him, he already has at least 1 res up. And then he doesn't even need to get the third person up. The person he just picked up can get the third person, and he can challenge you. Best case scenario for you is you trade in that kind of situation. If you don't immediately get people that are resing here. Whereas if we were, even though we're absolute, if we're pushing around here, that cuts that time that he actually has to make the play where he comes all the way over here to get 2 reses. Instead, you're on Mohawk attacking him by the time these res timers are coming off timer. And as long as you land your shots, you know, it's about a second to kill someone from first shot for optimal time to kill. As long as you get there within 2 seconds remaining on the timer, or 5 seconds, you're going to finish him off, and it's okay that you were absolute. It's okay that you distracted them. Other things that are really nice to do when you're absolute, when you're hiding. First of all, you should be relaying information to your teammates. Not just that you're absolute, but more importantly, where the enemy team is. If you're absolute, then, just say, I got bodied or whatever. But let them know, hey, they're by Mohawk. All 3 of them. So then that gives your teammates the opportunity to decide however they want to go. Or maybe nothing happens, and that's okay too. If they don't want to move and you're absolute, you don't need to make a play either. But that's a decision that your team has to make. And that's not necessarily you just hiding and not doing anything. So, a quick question. I'm a gunslinger using a hand cannon sniper in Rumble. Where's a good place to control? Personally, I like alley, and I use boxes as cover. Yeah, like I said earlier, if you're going to snipe, then boxes is really your go-to. These boxes here. The biggest issue that I have when I play Rumble on Bannerfall is there's just some times that no one spawns on your side. Or when they do spawn, they're so far away that being in a back alley, you can't really do anything to punish them for that, because they're going to move up and they're going to move across or however they want to move. Whereas when you're in alley, you really only have one way to really punish them, and that's coming down hallway and rounding the corner. Or if you're if they have a shotgun and they're going to push inside, you can't really cover this as a sniper, because there's no cover here for you to dip back into. And it's pretty easy to come up from the corner onto you and be in shotgun range. So you really only have one option for covering anyone from a far spawn in back alley. That's why I talk about moving back between the boxes, because then you get access to either side, so it doesn't matter if they spawn all the way back here. You basically have access. You have twice the number of looks as if you instead only stayed on one half. believe that, if I remember correctly, the point spawn is on B. It's either B or the rift spawn. Rift spawn is here. Oh no, point spawn's down here. I'm just not paying attention. So, but point spawn is down here, and we're playing on trials or elimination. It has the same issues as if we're sniping from Mohawk, and that's we can be attacked from multiple angles. So really, to secure the spawn, you should be covering box or on top of alley stairs. And you want to snipe down onto someone. The problem with this is that because of how slow the map will play out, it's really easy to get onto a balcony and then Nova bomb down onto it, or death from above, or just rain hammers, let alone being sniped. It's all open, so it's hard for shotgunners to push from center lane all the way to the point because you have no cover. You basically have to hope that the enemy team pushes into you. So my recommendation, if it is a slower game, try not to play for point because of how risky it is to take the point. Really the best option, if the enemy team is always going to stay in street and you just have to play for point, try to hug the Mohawk and post up around where they're going to push through, either bait center lane or around, or even through balcony. As long as you're posted up and you pick them off as they're moving to the point, you never have to actually cap the point. You can just use it as bait. So that pretty much covers all I want to talk about for this episode. As I said before, on Saturdays, this is the new time, 2 Pacific. So that'll be standardized moving forward. Episode 10 is up now, and it's uploaded on the website. So if you want to check that out, if you haven't seen that yet, or if you just want to go review it again, it'll be there. As usual, if you want to submit your threes gameplay or Rumble gameplay to me, and that's Skirmish, Salvage, Elimination, Trials, or Rumble, I don't do sixes. Submit it to Keen, Keen, at cruciblebootcamp.com. I at least look at every single thing that I'm sent. I do have a backlog, so if I haven't gotten to yours yet, either on stream or emailed you back, I'm working through it. Not all the critiques that I've been sent are really going to be, they're not always going to be good to actually show people or critique on the live stream. So in the future, I'll be going back and filling up taking care of the backlog by actually just emailing out what my critique is to the players that are submitting the information to me, just so you have something from it. There are going to be a couple changes, big changes in the future for the format of the show, and I'll share those when I'm done dealing with the logistics of it. But it's basically going to be some new content and then a new schedule for the new content. It's going to be a lot of shorter, it's going to be both shorter videos and then longer written articles. So I'm basically reviving the book club, as I've talked about, a book club, as I've talked about before. And so I'm in the process of re-updating all my old stuff and then writing some new stuff. So if you also have a suggestion for something I should read, if it's not The Book of Five Rings, The Art of War, or David Soren's Playing to Win, as well as the Army Tactical Ranger's Handbook, and there's one other one I'm reading. If it's not as long as one of those four, go ahead and submit it to me, and then I'll put it on my reading list. And so I can continue to give you guys some information that isn't just gameplay, but also some philosophical things that you can learn and get takeaways from. But as usual, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next Thursday. Koala out.